How many times have you gone out to the store and left your bag in the car? You know which one, the one that's got everything you own in it. Your laptop, your phone, your wallet, your keys, your everything. You do that often? Go ahead, you can tell me the truth. There's nobody else here. You don't want to say it, do you? Because you know the answer. Tons of times. Tons of times. This, my friends, is an ethics grievance waiting to happen. And there was a recent opinion on it, and that's what I want to tell you about today. So here's the hypo. You need to run over to the library to get a book. Why do you have to go to the actual library to get a book? Because you're getting old like me and you need the big print book. Now you either know exactly what I mean or you will soon. Trudy, I just got a text. I can't find my glasses. Do you have a pair of eyes I can borrow? Oh. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Make the text bigger. How much bigger can I make it? At this point, there's like one letter on the screen. Anyway, you leave your briefcase in the back seat and you run into the library. Let's face it, it's probably a backpack because that's what we all carry these days, even though we all feel like we're 10 years old. You run in, get your book, only 5 minutes elapse, you get back to your car, your window's smashed, your bag is gone. That's all it takes these days. Of course you know you shouldn't have left that stuff in the car. You know what my father would say to you? What kind of yutz are you? Who leaves their bag in a car? What kind of yutz are you? I don't know what a yutz is either. And I didn't know that there are apparently a variety of yutzes that one can be. Is yutzes the proper plural of yutz? Whichever yutz you are, you're one of them because you knew you shouldn't have done that. Well, the ethics authorities in Missouri had a little something to say about this in their opinion in 2020. Now, they didn't go so far as to call you a yutz. They're not that judgy. But they ask a legitimate question. What's a lawyer's responsibility when you leave a laptop, a cell phone, a bar card, your computer, credit cards, and all that stuff gets stolen out of your car? Well, the first question they say is you've got to ask what's on those devices. If nothing important is on those devices, if no client information is on those devices, then they don't care. I mean, they care, but they don't care. Yeah, I mean, if there's no client information on those devices and they can't be used to access client information, then the ethics authorities aren't going to care. You know that's not going to be the case, right? Of course our computer is going to have information from our clients on it. Our cell phones are going to have the data right on it or apps that give us access to that data. So you know you're going to have a problem. Our devices are either a repository of data or a portal to access that data. So the opinion says that if you've lost a device that contains client information, or it's one that could provide access to client information to someone, well, then you've got to do something about it. And the rule we have to look at is the one on confidentiality. Now, if you're in the United States, you've got Rule 1.6c. If you're in Canada, the rule will probably be located in the chapter called Relationship to Clients, probably Section 3.3. And if you're in Australia, take a look at Section 9 of the Australian Solicitor Conduct Rules. And in all of those situations, you're talking about needing to take some sort of action to prevent the breach, to prevent the loss of data, or to mitigate the breach and loss of data. The rule in the state says that a lawyer has to take all steps reasonably necessary to protect client information. Australia and Canada, you might not have the exact same rule, but you've got a rule on diligence and competence, and if you read them together, it's pretty much the same thing. What's interesting, though, is that we normally consider that obligation before something bad happens. If there's a cyber hack and we're trying to determine whether someone's responsible ethically for that loss of data, what we normally do is say, all right, what did you do beforehand? Did you take reasonable steps before the hack to prevent it? If you did, then you're not going to get in trouble for the hack, even though it occurred. If you didn't take those reasonable steps, well, then there's going to be some ethical responsibility. But here it's different. Here we're talking about taking reasonable steps after it happened. Now, here to a certain extent, maybe they'll beat you up for leaving that stuff in the car altogether. But that's not what the opinion said. The opinion dealt with the reasonable steps you need to take after the loss. You see, the fact that the stuff is stolen doesn't mean that they've actually gotten to the data yet. There's password protection, Face ID, all kinds of different stuff. The bad guys might have to do a little bit of work before they actually get access to that data. Maybe the data is not on the device, rather there's an app that allows access to it, which means now the bad guys got to get into the phone and then into that app and then through to that data. So there's still a chance that you might prevent someone from getting at this data. So the opinion gives us a series of steps that we need to take right away. Deactivate the cell phone. Take appropriate steps to secure the network at your law firm or the data that you may have in off-site storage. Change all your passwords that may be stored on the electronic device. Notice that's not change the password to the device, which you may have to do. It's change all of the passwords that are stored on that device. That could be a lot. And consult with a qualified information technology professional if it's appropriate. But that's not it. You may have the obligation to communicate with your client about what happened as well. If the stolen devices are going to require the client to make some sort of informed decision about the matter, well, then the rule on communication says you've got to talk to them about that. And don't forget to check the substantive law in your jurisdiction. There may be a law that requires notice to the client in situations like this. And of course, watch your trust account. Lawyers have to take all necessary steps to make sure that the trust account funds are protected, and you better monitor it closely. And don't steal from your trust account, and don't sleep with your clients. I feel like I have to mention both of those in every lesson, whether they're relevant or not. By the way, there's something you probably want to think about now, even if this hasn't happened to you yet. God forbid. You want to make sure that all the proper settings exist on your phone so that if this happens, you could deactivate it remotely. And you might want to think about establishing a protocol in your workplace policies about what people should do if this happens to someone in your office. Because the last thing you want happening is for you to become a yutz.